This is your Daily 5 for Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Today's 5 is actually kind of a nice prelude to the upcoming late night that I recorded with Andy Last of Beyond Synth, because most of that, or a good portion of it, we talk about AI and the good and bad uses of it. And one of the things that both Andy and I agreed on is that the application of AI to assist in bettering human health is something that everybody should be behind. For as many negative uses of AI as there is a lot of potential in its ability to help us discover illnesses ahead of time, early, when they can be cured and prevented, and also into drug research, which is why I'm talking about a human trial of what are described as AI-designed drugs. This is a Wired article. Title is, AI-designed drugs by a DeepMind spinoff are headed to human trials. And this is about some drugs that have been developed at an outfit that is titled Isomorphic Labs, which they describe as a UK-based spinoff of Google's DeepMind, that has designed some drugs that are going into human trials. And this is an example of what we should be pushing for AI to do. Not doing all the stupid, creating false people and false podcasts and all this garbage that humans are perfectly good and in fact much better at, but something like this, where designing drugs, as long as the AI has been given proper information and they are tested properly, as this appears to be doing, then they can be very, very helpful in, because here's the thing about drug research. Often, a lot of what holds, not all of it back, but a number of drugs that may be promising or research into promising drugs, what holds it back is funding for people to do the research, because it's often very expensive and takes a very long time. And if something like an AI-designed whatever they're using, and I don't know what the proper medical description, they just say biotech, so I don't know what that would be described as, but whatever AI tool they're using, if that in fact reduces the cost, if it improves the efficiency, if it makes discoveries quicker so that the funding is easier to secure because you know that you're cutting the research time down by some dramatic percentage, that's all good stuff. And in fact, again, very similar to discovering disease, if the AI is looking at things without human ego or interest involved and purely from an analytical standpoint, which it would be better suited to do than in some cases happens, because we'd all love to think that drug research is politics free, but guess what? It isn't. And there are large egos within the medical research realm where people feel like they're going to tailor results to not tarnish their image. And if a machine, which has no ego to speak of, comes in and says, nope, this works and this doesn't, and that's it, it's a nice binary answer, that's great. Now, again, all of this does have to be couched within making sure that there are safety protocols, making sure that the evaluation data that's being fed into this thing is accurate. There have to be checks and balances on everything. There is still going to be a human component. But if this thing can design drugs, again, with taking out any extraneous factors that aren't science-based, and if it can do it faster or provide assistance that means that funding is easier to get, that's good all around. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's going to be mistakes and errors, and some of these things won't pan out, as is true when humans design drugs. It's not as if human beings are airtight on making drugs that always work. There are lots of things that look promising at one stage and then fail at the next one for whatever reason. But again, this is a place where I want to see more AI usage, not replacing people, but making sure that people are able to maximize what they're good at and turning over the things to a machine that honestly don't require a human to see them outside of checking the results and making sure that the data is clean. Those are always going to be important things. You can't rely on a machine to do that. But the reality is, if you have to go through tons of results, try to identify patterns, there is a limit to what human beings are good at. No matter how smart or how energetic they may be, human error occurs. Machines make mistakes too, but they can analyze far more data, and they could identify patterns that a human being might miss because it just doesn't seem to be something that correlates and the machine picks it up. So this is the type of AI story I like to see. I'd love to see most of the hype around AI going into medical research to make people better, as opposed to writing songs or creating stupid memes to put on the internet. So it's important as much as criticize. It's one thing I say, if I criticize something, you have to point out when something right is done too, to emphasize that there are good uses. And this is a good use of AI, and I hope we see more of it. Later.